This in the top left is the cost center you're currently on. Go ahead and select Biochem. This number on top is the code that's just used by SMARTParcel. You don't really need to know that. Current weight will be the weight from your scale. Piece weight will be the weight of the piece on your scale. Zero scale will work with most scales and will set the scale back to 0 if it's come off to 0 for some reason. Manual here will allow you to type in an account code. So if you're currently using a set of numbers as your account codes instead of a barcode, you can type those numbers in, tab over, hit manual, and it'll bring up the account that has that number listed with it. Weight here. Now we have these select boxes here. Differential weighing allows you to put a stack of items on the scale, and it'll take that as the total, and then when you remove one item, it'll calculate the difference, and that will be the weight of your first piece. And then you'll run that piece like normal, and then you'll remove the second piece, and so on until you're out of items. Print sample labels. We'll print a sample label that won't show up in any of your reporting, and it will say sample really big on it. It's a good way to educate new users or just to test a new printer or something. Print 4x2 labels. This decides whether or not, you're always going to uncheck this if you have 4x6 labels. And then what will happen is it will ask you for an address, not an address, it will ask you for a customer's name right before it prints the label, and that will print a full 4x6 label with an address and everything on it. That's useful if you're doing not pre-addressed. Print address label here will also print an address, but since we have 4x2 labels selected, it will print the address on 3 4x2 labels. So you'll have the postage label that'll go in the top right, an address label that you put in the center somewhere, and then the third IMPB label, which just needs to be somewhere on the face of the piece. Default class, the new feature that allows you to select what type of mail you're running. So if you're running 20 first class pieces in a row, you'll just select this and you'll type in the information about the piece, and then you won't actually have to select the default class. It will just automatically do that as soon as it has a valid address. So if we had a scale, we would just put an item on the scale now, or we can type in a weight here, say 15 ounces. And we'll say this is tier 1, which means we can see that line on our smart ruler. And we start by typing the zip code, and then we start typing our address, and right there it should find our address. That's correct, so we'll hit enter. And here, because in the settings I selected class, rate, and retail, I can see my choices are USPS Priority Mail. I'm going to pay $5.05 for that. Full retail is going to be $5.75 for that. So I'll go ahead and print that. And because I didn't unselect print address label, it's going to ask me the recipient's name. And I also didn't uncheck print sample labels, so that didn't show up down here at the bottom. So we'll run another piece. Okay. So I'll select first class. Now it's not going to ask me a name, and that piece shows up at the bottom and is now in all of the reporting. So we'll do this again. This time I'm going to select the default of first class. So I'm going to go ahead and do another 12-ounce piece. Type my zip code. And now I have my address. Now as soon as I hit enter, it's just going to go ahead and ship that piece. And I can do that with anything. Now I'll go ahead and do this again, this time with a very heavy piece. And because of that weight, SMARTParcel knows that I have a package, so I'll have to type in dimensions. Okay. Now this time, oh no, I selected that wrong. If you have a default class selected that your weight or size makes that class invalid, you will just have to select something at the right like you normally do. So say I know I did this last piece wrong with my 500 ounces. I can now refund and delete that piece from the reporting with just a click of the refund delete. So this will go ahead and put in the request. And yes, I want to delete it. And it's going to warn me again that I must destroy that label if it printed. Trying to send something with that label would be bad. And now that piece is gone from my list down here and will be gone from all reporting. Okay. So another new feature is that now your selection of package size is persistent. So right now I have flat selected. So I have flat selected. So now if I hit another weight that's valid for a flat, it's going to stay on flat and I don't have to click anything in that row. But now if I put in something that's invalid for a flat, it's going to select the top row. And if I put in a weight that's invalid for anything but a package, it's just automatically going to have the enter package dimensions.